Hello. This is Jaymie White with Global Diversity News, bringing you another podcast. Today, I'm joined with Ray Hayes. How's it going, Ray?
What's going on, Jaymie?
It's going pretty well, man. Just bring another podcast to our loyal listeners. So today, we want to bring to you guys in our discussion is the 2016 electorate. We're going to be talking about the population breakdown, consisting of not only whites but also non-whites, so Hispanics, Asians, blacks, etc., and how the electorate is evolving. So just as a quick note, and then we'll get started. In 2012, the white share of the electorate population was around 71%. But now in 2016, it's going to be 69%. And the decrease is going to continue as we move further and further out. So, yep, just a short introduction as to what we're gonna be talking about. So, Ray, you were the one who found this really interesting article. Tell me a little bit more about it, and we can get into it. And tell me your thoughts on it too.
Definitely. Like you said, I mean, this particular the white vote is steadily decreasing. Now, it's not by huge numbers at that. It's slowly declining due to the fact that the population is steadily changing. Previously, before, the population has had more, as we know, white males in particular. So the population now is becoming more diverse as far as a lot, in particular, the Hispanic population.
Right.
As we all know, it's steadily increasing. So I want to throw this out there, Jaymie. 1 in 3 eligible voters on election day will be of Hispanic, Black, and Asian, or another minority descent.
Right.
The number is not huge, like I said before. It's steadily changing. So by 2016, the number possible will be 33%. So, but the change just comes changing ways of how both parties interact with minority groups. Over the weekend, I think Donald Trump went to he was in your neck of the woods, Jaymie. He was in Detroit at the black church.
Yeah.
Dancing and
I saw the video.
Clapping away. The church members was giving them like scarves and Bibles and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy, but at the same time, you see where it's going. It's not
it's necessary.
We're not going to vote. We're not going to vote. Ignore the Hispanics, blacks, and or Asian people in our election. We're going to come to them and we're going to try to get their vote. We're not going to just solely stray away from them. We're going to try to go about catering somewhat of our campaign to their ideas and how we can help their ideas.
Well, I got a question for you.
The Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, it's crazy. But go ahead, James. Sorry.
Yeah, I got a question for you. So, as you stated, the biggest group that's steadily increasing is Hispanics. With Donald Trump's recent comments on Mexico, and how he's going to build a giant wall and whatnot, get Mexico to pay for it, etc. How do you think that's going to influence Hispanic voters?
How do you think it's going to do what?
Influence Hispanic voters in this election.
His rhetoric is going to push Hispanic voters away. I mean, you have one of his campaign.
Do you think he can get it back?
About taco. No. Too late. Too late in the game.
You don't think this anyway? I actually do.
Check it out. Look, if he changes his vice president and all his members of maybe on his cabinet to people of Hispanic descent, yeah, it may change.
Get Marco Rubio in there.
But if not, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz.
I don't know about that.
Gang. I mean,
you do realize Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz are actually against.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just exaggerating with him. I mean,
I know. Honestly,
it's like I wouldn't even. I mean, he doesn't. It seems like sometimes he doesn't even consider himself amongst the community because he doesn't. I mean, doesn't. I mean, talk about it to a degree. So I'm saying you put people who go about taking pride in the fact that they're of Hispanic descent. Not saying Marco Rubio is not taking pride in that. So let's throw that out there. I ain't saying that. But I'm saying if he goes about getting people in the cabinet who are like just proud members of the Hispanic
have a history of
it may
supporting
change.
a Hispanic,
Yeah, I
Hispanic
mean,
issues.
you say, oh, and then first off, he says I'm gonna put someone on the Supreme Court, a Hispanic male. That may blow it up even more, but I don't think for a fact, I'm probably sure he's not going to do that at all. So his Hispanic votes is slowly going to decrease as the campaign goes on and on, because we haven't even reached the debates yet. No telling what's going to happen in the debate with either candidate. I'm not just saying Trump. With Hillary, what she may say that make you just asinine.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
but Republican, when it comes to the Hispanic vote, I think they lost them because of some of the racial tones they're using in their speeches and just their daily conversations.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be
sad too.
Yeah, it's gonna be an uphill battle. But as we're talking about Republicans, let's talk about Democrats for a second. Where do we think?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Hispanics? I always feel like, well, not I always feel, but in this election, I feel like Democrats are kind of in that default status where a lot of people aren't voting for Hillary because they like and trust her and think she's the best candidate, but there's a large portion that's voting for Hillary because they think Donald Trump will just be terrible.
Yeah, not Trump. Yeah, anything but Trump is like.
Yeah. So,
but at the same time.
So what do Democrats? Well, let me ask my question real quick. Yeah. So, let's say whatever Hispanics vote, and like Obama, Clinton gets 70%. A little bit over 70% of the Hispanic population. Vote. What do Democrats have to do to keep that vote? Because I'm pretty sure the 2020 election, they're not going to have a candidate like Donald Trump who's going to say, let's deport illegal immigrants. Yeah. What do Democrats have to do to keep that vote?
Man, keep the vote as far as when it comes to the 2020 election?
Yep. So, because we know that Hispanic population is going to increase. So if Democrats continue to have 70% of the Hispanic population voting for them, their numbers are just going to go up with each election.
First, they have to quote unquote acknowledge the fact that the Hispanic population is steadily increasing, and soon that population may be the majority voter. So you have to cater to the Hispanic population.
Yeah.
What about allowing programs to help as far as helping some illegal immigrants get their citizenship?
Yeah, I actually. Yep, I 100% agree with that. Like at some point, like Democrats, they got to push through some immigration laws that are beneficial to an illegal population that's made up majority of Hispanics. So they got to start at some point. Democrats have to start delivering on their promises, quote unquote, to the Hispanic community, because right now they're getting over because the other option is just not really an option. You don't want somebody to deport your family.
Right.
I mean, that's just not an option. So at some point they have to deliver. Otherwise, I do think Republicans can kind of reorganize. And if Republicans reorganize and create or craft, some type of immigration policy that's beneficial to Hispanics over the next 4 years, whoever wins or loses, I think that they can think they can get a significant portion of the Hispanic population, at least for that 2020 election. So I do think that
a key thing too, Jaymie, is the fact that if both parties begin to, if one party begins to acknowledge the Hispanic vote more and make it a priority, then I think you'll see a change.
That's true, because you don't really see that. You see the black vote. You see the evangelical
they cater
vote.
To the black vote, right? They come to us. They cater to us. They talk about black issues, but what about the issues Hispanics face in their communities? You don't hear that on a global scale. People are not talking about that constantly as much as they're talking about the killings going on in Chicago in the black neighborhoods, or the fact that the unemployment rate of black people or African Americans. You don't hear about those issues when it comes to Hispanic population, and those issues plague that community as well.
Yeah,
but it's not they're not discussing these issues. So you have a party who goes about like you said, Jaymie, changing their ideas and go about looking at spending more, then there may be, when it comes to 2020, something may change. That's for either part.
Yeah, I completely agree. So for the last piece, well, not the last piece, but just a couple of other parts. What does it take for Black Americans who are also growing, although not at the rate as Hispanics, but still, are increasing? What's it going to take for Black Americans to switch parties?
That's a good question. I mean, let's go about asking you that, Jaymie.
Oh, what's it going
Let's
to?
switch that around. Let me ask you,
Yeah, okay.
what would it take?
For me, what would it take for Black? So I mean, as you know, I don't keep this a secret or anything. I'm naturally conservative. Uh,
Right.
yeah,
That's why I want to switch it to you and ask you that.
right, yeah, yeah. But for me, I kind of see things a little bit differently because I think, in my minds, one of the things that I really like about being conservative, if you will, is that the policies that they have around businesses. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of those things where if you're not taking advantage of American policies when it comes to small business and how to generate wealth and stocks and bonds and saving money and whatnot, if you're not taking advantage of that and you don't understand that, then you're not going to appreciate its value. So because of that, you may tend to maybe a such thing as tax it more to benefit other programs. But since I'm more, pro business on that piece, pro business, I'm always for lowering taxes on all of those avenues that I mentioned before, and being conservative just allows for that. Because I do believe in, the more money, I do believe in the trickle down effect. So the more money that businesses have, that allows them to, pay for more, or excuse me, employ more people, purchase more items from small businesses or larger businesses, etc., within America, and distribute that money and wealth around America. Just with the more money they have. I will admit, however, in today's America, what you're seeing is a lot of companies are saving a lot of that capital that they normally spend. However, I do think incentives can be created, so that'll push them to spend more money out. So more incentives and less regulation. But how that would affect Black Americans? I mean, the Black community in general just has to do a better job. And a lot of this is because we just don't have the experience when it comes to running successful businesses and whatnot that a lot of white Americans do have. But the Black community just needs to have a better focus in terms of getting people to understand the benefits of starting your own business, having money in a bank, how to use a bank so that you can increase your credit limit so that you can buy a house, so that, just more financial education that we just don't have, and I think that until we have that, we're not going to really understand the benefits of you know conservative principles. So because we don't have that, we're just going to lean more towards again, we're talking about the financial issues, just more liberal um, socialism practices, which uh, dictates that everyone enjoys wealth, no matter what your current standing is. But yeah,
I think it's slowly,
it's more
as far
important.
as finances, I think that, I mean, in particular, Black community are slowly moving toward caring more about finances. I mean, the big push with not just buying the hashtag buying black or banking black
Yeah,
has started that increase, but the fact that once you go start to bank black, now you have to not only just, hey, I'm putting my money in a black bank. Now you have to go about, how can this black money grow my money? How can I take advantage of this black bank, so to say? I mean, once we start to go into that thought process, the financial issues will change, and the mindset will change as well. Because we've already started to push, but now it's what's the next step? Once we started to push, I'm putting my money in this particular bank. Now, what is this bank going to do with my money? How can I go about making this bank work for my money and also build my money?
yep, yeah. I mean, you know what, you're right, but ultimately, I do think in order to switch parties, what the Republican Party really needs to do on top of that is that they need to show it. They need to have a presence in the Black community. And in order to
Yeah,
have a presence in the black
definitely.
community, that's going to cost money. You gotta invest. You know, you want to talk about grassroots. You know, black people. It ain't like black people have moved out of Chicago or Detroit or Atlanta or whatever or Houston, wherever. Like we've been there for like for the past couple of decades. We're not hiding.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely no reason why
No,
Republicans haven't invested more in these cities to build a presence.
and also just people. I mean, not just saying, "Oh, Republicans do this," but actually going about showing Republican values, what they stand for, why their conservative values, because a lot of people in general have conservative values.
Yep.
But you wouldn't go about thinking, oh, first thing you think about a Republican is Donald Trump, the rhetoric he spews out daily.
Exactly.
It's more to it than that. There are a lot of in particular black people who are Republicans subconsciously. They just don't know it.
Yeah. I mean,
They have that conservative mindset. But they don't. You just think, oh, the Republicans don't view my ideas as important, but truly they do. Like you, Jaymie. I mean, you understand the values and more about the Republican Party than a lot of people do, and that's why you may consider yourself a conservative.
yeah. Well, let's
Am I
let's
wrong?
let's
Or am I right?
well let's be clear. I'm not a member of the Republican Party, but
Right. Oh, no, I'm just
yeah,
saying. I'm
but
just saying conservative ideas. Though. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
exactly. Let's make that very clear. You know, not that there's anything bad about the Republican Party or
No
anything.
disrespect, man.
Yeah.
No
No,
disrespect.
nothing along those like not that there's anything wrong about the Republican Party or anything. I mean, both parties have their benefits and both parties have their negatives, but just more so on conservative
Right.
principles. I also think that so again we're focusing on the whole how can blacks uh, kind of how can Republicans recruit more black people. Uh, they also need to they have to do a better job of just being better when it comes to social issues. Man, they're just always late to the party. Like they're always late to they're late to the party when it comes to feminism. They're late to the party when it comes to civil rights. Late to the party when it comes to LGBT rights. They could possibly be early to the party when it comes to medicinal marijuana. Uh, but they've got to
Yeah.
be like
That's,
you got to just do a better job of like that. Like, and again, some of the key ways they could do that is pushing to legalize medicinal marijuana on a federal level. And then the second piece could be, which they
right.
actually are in huge favor of, um, taking another look at like the criminal justice system and figuring out ways to make sure that blacks and Hispanics aren't getting put in jail at the rate that they are now. They actually are in support of that. Like everybody understands that that's an issue that has to be resolved. Uh, so like redoing like the whole illegal immigration piece, and we've already talked about that. They've got to be first to the party in that. They've got to lead that, and that'll bring on Hispanics and blacks. But yeah. So that's for those two pieces. For Hispanics and blacks, how both uh, political parties can you know be at the forefront of both ethnicities. Obviously, for Democrats, just keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, I mean, last election you got
Right.
92% of the vote. I think this one Hillary Clinton's trending at like 87, 90s. Like, keep doing what you're doing. There's absolutely no reason to change if you're a Democrat. Um, Lastly, would be the Asian population. Now, I guess we could go ahead and talk about it. I honestly don't know a lot about when it comes to the issues within the Asian community. The only thing that I did read was the fact that a lot of the new Asian populations that can now vote, a lot of them come from naturalization. I think it was right.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Yeah.
weren't so they weren't born uh,
Come on, the U.S.
American. Yeah, in the U.S., like the Hispanic population that's growing is they're born in a foreign country and they become a citizen. So clearly, obviously, that also has to do with immigration policies. Um, Basically, I read this article a while back. There's like there's this big issue with work permits and how that's
Mm-hmm.
actually how a lot of people become that's how a lot of people become illegal immigrants is that they're like visas expire or something along those lines.
wow.
and then they stay here.
Mhm.
And and then sometimes like you have to like, and then you get sent back, and then you have to like wait like 10 years or something ridiculous before you can come back. I mean that's actually one of a big issue within the Indian population, uh, Asian
Mhm.
Indian. So doing things about that portion of the illegal immigration policy is working on that. So work permits or visas or whatever it's called exactly, making sure that if it does expire or something like that, there's policies in place where you don't get banned for a significant amount of time, because then they're just going to go back home and just start a business or whatnot and not come back. Uh, so I know that that's a big issue. Uh, that's really the only bigger one. Do you know of any, uh, Ray?
No, I don't know much. But I did know. I usually listen to a talk show host who goes about talking about voting rights and how, in particular, the Asian population, the actual population doesn't vote as much as the whites or blacks or Hispanics. However, when it comes to economics, they're big. They're big when it comes to, I mean, as far as the finances, like you talked about as far as black people. But when it comes to voting, they're not making their voices heard. So it's kind of, when you think about that, when people say I'm not going to vote because my vote, it doesn't matter, could people use that as an excuse, like the fact that the Asian population doesn't vote as much. However, when it comes to finances and economics, the Asian population is slowly booming, in technology in particular.
Yeah, steadily booming.
So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that people who start to say that's my excuse. Well, I'm not voting.
I mean
Could you use that as an excuse to a
well,
degree?
I don't know about an excuse, but that's an interesting stat right there. The fact that Asians percentage wise vote the least, but yet like
Yeah,
average salary they make the most. So how much do politics really matter?
that's
Like
that's crazy.
how much does government really matter?
Yeah,
Are we
I
focusing
mean, if
on
I vote Trump or
yeah
Hillary, does it? I mean, how is that? How is that affecting me? Is it
yeah
affecting my pockets?
yeah
Probably not. If
yeah
I'm of Asian descent, that's not really affecting my pockets. And I research, and I specifically got shown because I'm not voting. Now, I'm not saying all Asians don't vote. I'm just saying
yeah
there's a small
statistically
percentage of Asians. Yeah, statistically, there's a small percentage of Asians who actually vote. So, like you said, Jaymie, does the vote really matter?
yeah
Is it necessary for me to vote?
yeah. Well, I was
Or
just
is it
more so
necessary
being
for me to go about?
being
Hmm?
funny when I said that. But yeah, that is
Well,
interesting though. You weren't being funny; you were serious.
okay, all right. Never mind.
So, I didn't mean to steal your thunder like that, man. but
Never mind.
but yeah, but
Continue on. Let's wrap this
yeah,
up, man.
yeah, we have to though, because we're actually coming up
Kill my
against
mood,
it.
bro.
We're coming up against the time, so I do have to wrap this up. But yeah. So again, global diversity news. That's our thought on the new voting block that's coming up. White population decreasing, whereas Black, Hispanic, and Asian population is steadily increasing from 2016 on forward. So if you like the kind of what we were talking about the podcast, definitely like, subscribe, follow us, do all those great and crazy things. Leave us a comment. We're always begging for comments. We definitely want to hear your thoughts on what we talked about, and maybe some suggestions on what we should talk about in the future. So, signing off, I'm Jaymie White, and
I'm Ray Hayes.
we'll see you next time.